Hello and welcome to Mente de Madre Leona. This is Christina. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Today we are going to be talking about time and where we can find more time in our day. And this will be Season 2, Episode 11. And today is April 11th, so that's kind of neat. I do apologize if you can hear my Siamese. He is very interested in helping me today, and I would put him in the other room, but if you've ever experienced a Siamese cat, you will know that they just get louder when you put them on the other side of a door. So I'm going to keep him in here with me. So as moms and as women, I think we can feel so pressed to find more time in our lives, and it seems like there's just never enough time. We can feel like there are so many things that we want to do, but it's not possible to do any of those things because we don't have time. So I think that if we slow down a little bit, we can think about some things in our lives, and we are able to find time for the things that are important to us. And we can make room in our schedules for the things that can help us to feel passionate about life and to be motivated about life, because when our lives revolve around work and schooling and just chores and all of the daily tasks that are so important and so necessary, we can begin to feel really out of touch with ourselves and really searching for some sort of meaning in life. And we can become really unhappy if all we're doing is just work, whether that be outside of the home or inside the home. And those tasks that we need to do can become so large in our mind and seem so unbearable at times. But when we have set in our mind that we have other things that allow us to be creative or to allow us to be healthy, then those tasks that are so important don't seem so overwhelming. So I would really implore you to look at where you sacrifice your time and your energy and your emotions, and think about if it's necessary. Or are those things really stealing from you? Are they draining you of those internal resources that you have and maybe your external resources? Because if you're wanting to set goals and chase your dreams, you're going to need more of yourself. And if you're giving away all of the great things that you have to offer and not holding some back for yourself, it's very difficult for you to chase your dreams. You may not even have the energy to even begin to think about being motivated or creative. You know, there are some things that I think are super important that we do sacrifice for. And, you know, our children, we self-sacrifice for them. Our husbands, you know, taking care of loved ones, that's totally worth every bit of that. But there is still a balance. You know, if you're really pushing into all of your children being in competitive sports, you know, that can overwhelm every bit of your time and finances and leave you with nothing. And what is it really worth? You know, is it straining your household, your family, and you? And, you know, the kids may not even really enjoy it. Maybe they do. You know, your health, I think that's a non-negotiable sacrifice. I think that everybody in your family needs to be supportive of you doing everything for your health. And that's you, your kids, your husband. Everybody needs to make health a priority. And that should be put above everything else. You know, getting enough exercise, which you can all do together. You know, trying to eat better and learning together. There are so many amazing resources that are inclusive of children and both men and women, you know, their nutrition needs. So I think that those are the type of sacrifices that are really important. And you don't want to take time away from those things. So if you're already devoting time to having a good regimen of exercise and eating well, getting good sleep, all of those things, that's not where you want to be looking to cut back on time. But I know for a lot of moms and working women, you need more of that type of time. You're looking for more time to be making those type of goals, getting fit, getting healthy, those type of goals, just getting more time to sleep and get better rest. There are definitely places in our lives that we can look to decide if we want to continue down some of these paths that might be really draining on us. I think it's really important that we look at some of our friends or family members who might drain you emotionally, financially, or physically. And, there are definitely those people, I've had many of them in my life, that will they'll bleed you dry. They will take every bit of advantage of you that they possibly can. And especially if it's a loved one that's a family member, that can make it so much harder to say, hey, I can't, you're taking everything away from me. And if they're stealing your time and your energy and your finances, that's coming away from your husband and your children. If you're married and have children. Another one is, like the girlfriend that's always calling and crying and has all these dramatic problems because she won't just change her life. And that really can bring you down and take a tremendous amount of time. I've had those girlfriends, and unfortunately, I've had to just cut them out of my life because it just takes too much away from me and my family. Another one is a job or a career that just over demands and underpays. And I think there are more and more of these type of jobs where they fire or lay off a bunch of people, but they expect that the people that are still working to pick up the slack, but not get a raise. In fact, they might even get a pay cut and be told, well, you should be glad that you still have your job. And in these current times, that can be so devastating with the price of groceries and fuel, and just everything has just skyrocketed. I just left the hardware store, and I'm in utter shock of the things that used to cost 25 cents are now costing $7. And if you've been to the store lately, you know what I'm talking about, or filled up your, gas tank. So, it can be really difficult to figure out, is this job worth sticking to, or is it worth just starting to look elsewhere, while you're still in that situation? This is another one that I think is pretty touchy, and I won't go too deep into it, but I think it's worth talking about. Social and religious activities, they can really promise you some really good future return if you give your time, your money, your emotions today, that you're somehow going to get some benefit from that in the future. And they do play on your emotions heavily for that. And in my experience, I have been drained emotionally, physically, of all my energy, and financially. I went overboard over my adult life giving in religious settings and being promised that I would get something back. And I look back over time and I think about some of the leaders that I came into contact with, and I think about them now and I think, if I were them, I would have said, you're not in the place to be doing what you're doing. You're giving far too much. You need to step back and withhold some of that energy for your family, or you need to withhold some of that money. But no, they were really happy to take it. So I would encourage you to think about those types of settings, whether they're religious or social, and just think about, are you really getting back what you're giving? Do you really know that you're going to get back what you've given? And are you getting so emotional, and is that beneficial to you in your life, or is it actually a negative? Just putting it out there for you to think about. I wish that someone had asked me to think about those types of things many years ago. It would have saved me quite a bit of time, but we all have to come to our own realization over time. So I would encourage you to just slow down for a little bit and evaluate your life and look at every corner. There may be many other things that I haven't touched on. Maybe it's a major home remodel that you're working on and it's just taking too much out of you, whatever the case may be. I would encourage you to make a list. If you've been with me at all, you know I love lists. And first, I would say list out the things that you do that bring value to you and to your family. If that soccer practice brings you value, you love it, makes you happy, your kids love it, your husband loves it, and it's a community thing or a family thing, and it's just really like the highlight that gives all of y'all that really positive energy, then that's awesome. Put it down. If going to Sunday service and going to brunch afterwards is, the highlight of your week, put it down. Put down whatever it is for you that brings you that really good, happy energy. And I hope you have a lot of those to put down. The other list you need to make is to talk about the things that drain you or take from you. What are the things that you're not feeling so hot about those things? What are the things that you hang up the phone from that person and you just feel like crap? What are the things that keep stealing your focus off of trying to pursue any dreams or goals? Really think about that. When you get your list done, and that may be a bit of a process of thinking about those things over time, think about what are the things on that list that are actually being taken from you. Is it time? Is it energy, focus, devotion, love, money? And could you take any of those resources that are being taken from you and put them elsewhere? If you were on the phone for 2 hours listening to, Debbie Sue crying about her boyfriend, could you have used that 2 hours to have gone to the gym, or that 2 hours to have been working on the goal that you have, whatever that goal may be? Or if it's just a really, really bad job situation, but there's a way that you want to somehow have your own business, how can you transition to that? Could you have used that 2 hours instead of listening to somebody who's for the millionth time calling you and isn't going to change anything? Could you have used that time to start writing your business plan, start figuring out how you're going to make the steps to make that goal work? So then I think you need to look at some of the real cost values of some of the things that you do. Literally look at the benefits to you and your family of each of those things on your list, good and bad. And also look at what are your children and your husband sacrificing? Are your kids being rushed all around, in and out to get this one kid to their practice and another kid to their practice and into school and back? And, that can be an incredibly tiring and exhausting time for children to be rushed around. So are all of those things that kids are involved in, are they really actually making those children happier, or are you shelling out money for something that's really not making them happier? So my intention here is really not to anger or upset you. And I hope that I haven't done that by, touching on some of these things, but I hope to draw your attention to the sections of your life where you could alter something that would allow you to have more time and that would open the door to new possibilities for you and your family. And as moms, it's so easy to just tell ourselves that we don't have the time or the energy or the money to make our dreams happen or our goals happen. But we're always the first to try to figure out a way to do things for our husbands and our children. And a lot of times, I know with my children, they'll get really excited about trying something out and doing it. And then once they've done it, maybe it really wasn't the thing that they liked so much. And, buying all the things to do whatever that particular thing was costs a lot, and the lessons cost a lot. And it's a hard decision as a parent to say, do we keep spending the time and the money to keep pushing into this thing that they don't actually really like? Or do we step back and say, okay, we tried it. Maybe we'll try it again in a couple of years, but we're going to use that time for something else. For me, one of the things that I've done is when my kids are doing their lessons, whether it be guitar lessons or gymnastics or whatever the case may be, I will try to time that where I have a little bit of quiet time in my car, and I will write in my car or read in my car, whatever the case may be, instead of going inside and socializing with all of the other moms. And as much as I like to talk to them, that's a really good time for me to be pursuing my dreams. So you can also find these other snippets of time that maybe you hadn't seen before. So I really hope that I've provoked your thought process to begin to find time that you already have so that you can pursue your dreams and live your best life. One of the easy ones is always to say, I don't have time to work out, or I don't have time to go to the gym. And when you begin to schedule the gym or whatever the case may be for pursuing a goal or in a dream, you're going to make time for it. And everything else will begin to not seem as important. A lot of those things that may have seemed like priorities in the past, once you put your focus on pursuing a goal or a dream, you will become so incredibly passionate about putting your efforts and your time into that. So some of the things that you may not have seen at the front as taking from you and you sacrificing your time, energy, and finances and emotions for, you'll start to see those things really clearly, and you'll see that they're taking away from your path to your goals and dreams. And that makes it quite a bit easier to make those necessary changes in your life so that you are no longer pouring out so much into somebody else's bucket. You are able to put it into your own path. And the other good thing is when you are able to show that other people that you are progressing on your journey to your goals and dreams, you can really motivate other people in so many ways you can't possibly imagine to pursue their own goals and dreams. So I think it's really worth taking a little bit of time so that you are able to find more time in your life. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye.